The clearer you are, the faster you manifest. So what I wanted to talk about today is how do you get clear? I want to give you 7 ways to get clear. Because if you get clear of those counter intentions, for the most part, what you want to have, do, or be comes along very quickly. The clearer you are, the faster you manifest. What I want you to do for this first step, and this is worth writing down, is to playfully declare what you would have to experience. What would you like to have, do, or be? One way of doing this is to pretend if it fell out of, this is a wonderful sky here, if it fell out of the sky into your lap, what would you welcome into your life? If you can just open the present and there it is. And this could be anything. On one of my blog posts, I had written about a fellow who started using the phrase, wouldn't it be cool if, fill in the blank. Wouldn't it be cool if you attracted the car you're looking for? Wouldn't it be cool if you got the ideal job? Wouldn't it be cool if you healed the health concern that you had? Wouldn't it be cool if you attracted unexpected income of a particular amount? Wouldn't it be cool if you opened the business you've always wanted? But notice, for the most part, what I'm hearing, there's a sense of detachment and there's a sense of playfulness here. What most people do wrong when they state an intention is that they're desperate for the intention. What does it mean if you're desperate for the intention? You're going to continue to be desperate, but why?
You fear it won't happen.
You're fearing it won't happen. If you're desperate for something, unconsciously you're stating, I don't believe this is going to happen. If this doesn't happen, my whole world's got to fall apart. This stuff probably doesn't even work. Law of attraction probably isn't even real. Joe Vitale is probably full of it. You know? But what you want to have when you state your intention is a clarity of purpose that has a sense of fun to it. Wouldn't it be cool if is a wonderful question to start using for your intentions. By saying the phrase, would it be cool, you take off a lot of the desperation and the urgency that people put on. I tell people that you can virtually have anything you want as long as you don't need it. As soon as you say you need it or you must have it, you've added an energy to your intention that's got to push it away. Because your unconscious mind, the universe, God, whatever you want to respond to or say this higher power is got to respond to your unconscious feelings. And if you're saying, well, wouldn't it be cool if, but it's not going to happen to me, it's got to respond to the it's not going to happen to me energy. So the first way to get clear is to be focused on what you want very clearly, but without an attachment to it. Wouldn't it be cool if? And I mean, have fun with this. Wouldn't it be cool if? Notice I'm smiling as I'm thinking about this, because there's a playful, childlike quality to this. You look at catalogs and go, wouldn't it be cool if I had that? Wouldn't it be cool if I met this particular person? The trick is you write all these things down, like wouldn't it be cool if, and you fill in the blank in a notebook or whatever, and you more or less forget about it. You've planted an order, you've planted a signal, you've planted a request with the universe. When you go back and check your book and your listing later, you'll find out more often than not, it's like, oh, that did happen, but I forgot all about it. That came true, but I wasn't even thinking about it. The universe, in many ways, realigns itself and repositions everybody as if we're chess pieces to make our dreams come true. But you have to go and state what those are. So the very first thing that we want to talk about is that clarity of intent. Wouldn't it be cool if? So that's the first way to get clear, because the clearer you are, the faster you get to manifest. Anybody want to guess what the second way is? What I ask people to do is question beliefs. Question beliefs. This is one of the reasons you want to be in miracles coaching. You want to have a coach of some sort. I'm going to talk about that a little bit more in a minute. But questioning beliefs, we live in a belief-driven universe. Do you realize that? Mm-hmm. When you change your beliefs, you change your reality. How many here would like to attract money? Yeah, everybody probably should put up their hands. You know one of the reasons that we don't? And I used to block it. Do you know one of the reasons? Yeah, we have this thought in our head. You can all complete the sentence. Money is the root of all. That's a program in our head. It's not an accurate statement, but it comes from a source we haven't questioned. And if you haven't looked at it like, is that a belief or is that a fact, you can let that run in your unconscious mind as a programming. And that programming will set it up so you don't have much money. It will allow some money. Have you ever noticed that you usually can squeak by? Have you ever noticed that you're able to get just the amount of money you need to pay your bills? I used to think back, how come when I'm in poverty, and I've got this apartment payment and I got this car payment and I'm struggling, how come I'm able to raise just that amount of money? How come? And not much more. It's because we're allowing ourselves to survive, because that's permissible. We allow ourselves to survive, but we don't allow ourselves to prosper. We don't allow ourselves to thrive. Why not? Because of the beliefs we have about money, about deservingness, about success, and about what people do that we hear about. A large part of what's going on is programming from the media. When I was growing up, Gilligan's Island was one of the TV shows on. You remember it, apparently. She's laughing already, like, oh, that one show was great. And if you think about it, there was the older couple who were very wealthy. And when you watch the show, they're a great source of humor. And you enjoy them and you laugh at them and everything, but unconsciously you're thinking to yourself, I don't want to be them. Wealthy people get laughed at. Wealthy people aren't very likable. They're funny. They're strange. And then you watch some of the movies that are out there. One that comes to mind is Wall Street with Michael Douglas and the famous thing about greed is good. And you start concluding that, oh man, all these people with money and these corporations, they're all ruining their lives, they're all evil, they're all doing things that are bad for the universe or bad for the environment or bad for us. And you forget, you're being programmed by the media. Television, movie, they call that stuff programming for a reason. It's programming you. So you have to watch these shows with an element of awareness so that you can question beliefs. And I tell people, look, you got to learn the difference between beliefs and facts. Beliefs and facts. Most of us are going to make announcements about the world and think that that's the way the world is, not realizing we made an announcement that's a belief, not a fact. Fact is something that's measurable, something that we can all agree on, something science would probably say is true. We can all look at the very same thing and agree on it. But a belief is something we can question, we can change, we may not all agree on it. But the beliefs that operate our lives, they feel like reality, they feel like truth. And most of the time you don't even know what those beliefs are unless you talk to somebody, which is why I keep telling people, it's why I even created Miracles Coaching, for example, is that you need somebody on the outside to look at what gratitude is. One of the most powerful ways to transform yourself, your moment, your energy. You can transmute everything that's going on with gratitude. Gratitude will accelerate your ability to pull into your life all the things that you would love to have, all the things that you think that would be cool, your experiences, your relationships, your health, all of these different things. How many have heard my pencil story? A couple of you. Decades ago, I was homeless for a short time. I was in poverty for a very long time. And throughout it all, I was trying to work on myself. And I was going to the library, and I would go to the free lectures, and I would listen to the New Thought people and the Unitarian people and the self-help people. And more often than not, they talked about gratitude. And they would say, it's very important that you be grateful for what's going on. And I thought, yeah, right. You don't know what's going on. I am not grateful for this. I am not grateful for my life. I am not grateful for where I'm at. You bring me something to be grateful for, and I'll be grateful. And they would always say, you're putting a cart before the horse. It's the wrong way. That's not how you do it. You have to practice gratitude for what you have now. You transmute your whole energy system, and then you start attracting things to match your new energy. As long as I stayed in the position of I'm unhappy, I'm miserable, I'm a victim, the world is out to get me, nobody's going to publish my work, I'm never going to get anything out there, I'm not going to make a difference in the world, I'm going to die unknown. As long as I put that energy out there, that's what I was getting back. Anybody have a pencil? Well, pen's fine. I remember taking a number 2 pencil, those yellow pencils, it says number 2, we probably had them when we were in grade school and so forth. And I looked around my room and I said, yeah, okay, let me try this gratitude crap. Let me see if I can make a difference by focusing on something. And I had a pencil. All right, pencil. And believe me, my heart was not in it. I looked at that pencil and I said, pencil. All right, that piece of lead there, I could write a grocery list, I can write a poem, I can write a song, I can write a suicide note, I can write the great American novel, I can write an award-winning play. I started to get excited. I started to see that with that piece of lead, I could write things, I could write affirmations, I can write a script, I can write visualizations. I could write pen pals before the internet and everything. I could write all kinds of things that could make a difference. And I started to feel really different. And then I turned the pencil over and I went, wow, an eraser. How brilliant is that? If I don't want to do the suicide note, well, okay, scratch that out. You know, if I not want to write something or buy something at the store or whatever, I just erase it. I'm like, what an incredible invention. It's really just a twig. It's a stick. And somebody put lead on one side and an eraser, a piece of rubber on the other side, and now we can change the world. And in fact, many people did change the world with a pencil, because when they were writing, the Mark Twains of the world and Harriet Beecher Stowe, and they wrote books that transformed people, they didn't have computers. They were doing it longhand. Some had pen and ink and all of that. But I started to realize this pencil is a work of genius, and thank God for the pencil. Every time I feel that story, I change internally. My energy goes up, I feel happier, I'm zinging, I'm just plugged myself into an electrical outlet. The fourth thing that I wanted to tell you about, I'm telling you 7 ways to get clear. The clearer you are, the faster you manifest. I've written about this in my book, Zero Limits, and it's the clearing mantra that Dr. Hulen taught me, that I taught everybody who read the book. Now, have you read Zero Limits? How many have read Zero Limits? A few of you have not. Strongly recommend that you read it, not because I wrote it, because it's one of the most mind-stretching, inspiring stories you will ever read. A few years ago, and I'll tell you very briefly about it, a few years ago, I guess 6 years ago at this point, I had heard the story of this therapist who helped heal an entire ward of mentally ill criminals. And he did it without personally seeing each one of them. And he used some sort of Hawaiian healing technique, which I didn't know at the time, to influence them. And remember, the first time I heard it, I dismissed it. I thought he healed them, he didn't see them, they're mentally ill criminals, confined in a Hawaii State Hospital. It's not true. I thought it was an urban legend. But I heard it a couple more times, and I thought I should at least look into this. And then when I found it was true, I thought somebody needs to tell the story. And I convinced Dr. Hulen, who is the therapist, to let me be the stenographer for this, and he and I wrote Zero Limits. At the heart of Zero Limits is a clearing technique. Basically, it's 4 phrases. I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you. I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you. That he is saying to what I'm going to call God. You can call it the divine, but it is a request, it is a petition, it is a cleaning, it is a prayer, it is a mantra, it is a psalm, it is a song. It's all of these different things. What he was doing in the mental hospital is that he would see people that were obviously troubled. These were violent folks. I mean, they were shackled, they were sedated. He said that when you would go down the hospital ward, you would walk sideways with your back against the wall because you didn't want to be attacked. And so what he did was, instead of working directly one-on-one with each person, he noticed what the person brought up in him: anger, rage, embarrassment, sadness, confusion. Whatever was brought up in him, that's the feeling he wanted to clear. And that's what he went to the divine with, and basically was saying, I don't know where this came from. I'm sorry for whatever I might have done or my ancestors might have done to bring this into reality. Please forgive me for being unconscious to the creation of this. Thank you for cleaning this, for clearing this, and always ending with I love you, which is a return to the state of divinity. Love, purity, unconditional acceptance. This technique all by itself is one of the most powerful ones I've ever come across, yet at the same time, it's so simplistic. People are saying, really, 4 lines, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you, that's it? Yes, that's it. I do it 24 hours a day, even while I'm sleeping now, because it's my automatic tape. It's going on in my head. It's going on right now, because I want to be clear as I talk to all of you. That's why occasionally I tell you these stories I didn't even plan on telling you, is that I want to be clear in this moment. Inspiration just kind of bubbles up. I just share it and see where it goes. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I have seen, well, here's a story that just shows up. There's a woman who works at a prison, as a volunteer in a prison. And one time she was there and she was teaching a group of people. She called it meditation, but she said I was teaching them Zero Limits. I was teaching them how to say to themselves, to their connection to God, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, over and over again. In my book, The Attractor Factor, I talk about Nevilleizing your goal. How many of you read The Attractor Factor? I strongly encourage you to read that book because it's the single one book of my self-help natured books that makes the massive difference for people. I hear more stories from that. It's been translated in all kinds of languages. It's all over the world. It's the book that got me into the movie The Secret because Rhonda, the producer, had read The Attractor Factor and put me in. But Nevilleeize your goal is a way of embodying the finished result of having your goal. So let me explain this real quick. A lot of people use mental imagery, they use visualization techniques, and they might extend it when they'll say, wouldn't it be cool if I win this athletic contest? And then they might use their mental imagery to see themselves winning it. That's all fine. That works. I've done hypnosis for 30-some years. My company's even called hypnotic marketing. That's how influenced I've been with hypnosis. But Neville took it a step deeper. He said, visualize the end result as if it had already passed. So in other words, if it was, wouldn't it be cool if I won the athletic contest? You are at the end of the athletic contest and you are saying, I won it to a friend, or it's the next day after it and you're reporting on it. Maybe you're on a radio or a television show, maybe you're on the internet, maybe you're writing about it, maybe somebody's filming you. What you do is you go to the end result of it and reflect on what it feels like now that it's over. You embody and you anchor the complete holographic visualization. Do you see the difference? It's not a mental exercise where you're projecting into the future, I want this to happen. This has happened. It is complete. It is done. And you are enjoying the moment. Neville used to tell people, assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. I have some of his books where he signed it that way. Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. What he means is you're wishing for something to take place. Assume the feeling of it fulfilled. It's over. It's done. How cool is that? Somebody had mentioned looking for the soulmate. Well, imagine tonight you're having coffee or beer or some wine or somebody with somebody and you're telling them how you found your soulmate and how great it feels. You're anchoring it as it's already done. So you're planting the seed of fulfillment in your brain. Action. Take action. This is the number one thing I see people not doing. And even Jack Canfield, who was in the movie The Secret with me and a bunch of other people, he says, the law of attraction has the word action in it. You are supposed to act. The fifth step in my book, The Attractor Factor, is action. When you get an inspired action, and that is, a lot of you took action to come here and come from some long distances. That's wonderful. I applaud you for doing that. That's part of what we're talking about, to create what you want, to attract what you want, whether it is money or anything else. You must take action. When people ask me, Joe, how have you written 50-some books? How are you in 13 movies? How do you have all these CDs? How do you have these coaching programs? How do you have all these travels and these events and these television shows and blah, blah, blah. The list goes on. I take action. Now, it doesn't all happen at the same time. You know, when you keep doing this, 30 years later, you look back and go, oh, I wrote 50 books. I came out with so many music CDs. You do one thing at a time. Right now, I am here with you. That is my action. I am here with you, receiving information, sharing information with you, helping you to the best of my ability so that you can have, do, or be the dreams that you want. Now, as I'm telling you about taking action, I really got to turn the fire under you a little bit here. I mean, I'm called Mr. Fire for a reason, so I'm going to go ahead and ignite the burner. Here's the kick that you were looking for, yeah. It's a polite and loving kick, but it's a reminder. So a couple Mondays ago, I was getting a massage. And the woman who gives me a massage, we talk for a little bit, but usually I zone out and then I'm gone. And she said that she wouldn't be able to give me a massage the next week because she was going to be out of town. And I said, that's cool. What are you going for? Well, a friend of hers, who's not even a really close friend, but a friend of hers, was given 3 months to live. And I said, what? And she said, yeah, the woman was having dizzy spells and so forth. She went and had some tests done, and they found out that she's got a brain tumor. And they said, it's large enough that you have 3 months to live. Well, the woman was confused and surprised, but she was also into natural things and green things. So she did the raw food. She did a bunch of things that were very natural. Well, all things I probably would have done as well. And she said, I feel great. And she went back, and the doctors and everything put her back in the MRI, and they said, look, what you're doing is wonderful, but your tumor is bigger. You have less than 3 months. And then I went into my massage, and I'm laying there, and I spent the next hour or so wondering, what would I do if I had 3 months to live? What would I do? And I couldn't come up with anything different than what I'm doing. So I'm apparently doing my love and I'm doing my passion. But my question to you is, can you all say the same thing? For most of us, there's things that we want to do that we keep putting off. And I'm saying, we don't know. I told you about going to see my mother. Her days are numbered. I don't know if she's got days or weeks or a few months. And of course, there could be a miracle. It could be much longer. But she's checking out. And so I, as her son and her firstborn, I'm feeling that. And I'm looking at her going, did she complete everything? What would she do if she knew exactly how much time was left? What would I do if I knew that there was 3 months left? What is this woman going to do? And I'm actually really turning this into a meditation, and I'm putting it on your lap, and I'm saying, look, talking about you taking action is fine. I can write about it, and I have in the Attractor Factor. Your coach can get on the phone with you and tell you about taking action. But until you realize that your days are truly numbered, I started Miracles Coaching because I realized that trying to change on my own is entirely possible, entirely doable, but I'm going to move at a slow pace. I'm going to just do it by baby steps. I've read a lot of books. You can change from books. I've written books that have helped people change. And you can still have all of that growth kind of happen. But I found out that if I want the warp speed accelerated change where things really happen different for me and I move out of the muck that I have created from my belief system, then I need a coach. And not just any coach. I decided I wanted to create Miracles Coaching. And we've had this going 5 years since I started it, and the last few years up in Prosper and so forth. It is one of the most powerful, transformative systems that you'll ever come across. And one of the beauties of this is not only do you have an ally, you have a support team. And I think that's one of the secrets to making a change is you got somebody who believes in you. I was at Jerry and Esther Hicks' house one time. These are the people who put out the Abraham material. And there was a quote on the wall, which I'm not going to remember the exact quote, but it was from the old Western, from the Virginian. And there was a line in there that said, the only way that I can be a success is by having somebody believe in me more than I believed in myself. I don't have the exact quote, but you get the sense of what that's about. When you have a miracles coach, you have somebody who's believing in you besides you. You definitely can make that little bit of a growth on your own, but with a miracles coach, you're going to go flying down the road. You're going to accelerate it. See, in my book, Attract Money Now, if you haven't read it, Attract Money Now is free at attractmoneynow.com. Just go to attractmoneynow.com and you can download it and read it, so it's free. I talk about beliefs we have that create a limit for what we can allow into our lives. And I remember saying a few years ago, it's been more than a few years at this point, but I was on the internet and I was doing very well on the internet. This might have been 10 years ago or more. And I realized that I was hitting a ceiling in how much money was coming in. And I thought, how is that possible? There are no watchdogs that say you cannot make so much money on the internet. They don't come along and say, oh, you've gone over the tipping point here. You've got to back down and make a little bit less. Nobody does that. So the limit must be coming from me. I must be projecting my limit onto the internet or wherever money would come from in my life or any of your lives. And so I started to think, where would that limit come from? Why would I not want to go higher than what I've been doing over the last few years, which is a nice level, but we want to raise the bar. And then I realized I didn't want to make any more money than my father. I didn't want to make any more money than my parents. And when I looked at that, and I've said this story many times before, people will I'll hear a rumble around the room where they'll all realize that's true. I felt the same way. Maybe not consciously, but unconsciously we're thinking, no, we can't make more than our husband. We can't make more than our father. We can't make more than my brother. We can't make more than some other figure. That's a belief. It's not a fact, right? If it's a fact, it would be true for every single person, in every case, everywhere. It's a belief. So I looked at that belief and I thought, what does my father really feel? Proud. And if I did better than him, better being a relative term, how would he feel? He'd be happy. I've gone back several times since my mother is very ill right now, so I've gone back to see my family. quite a bit recently. And my father repeatedly tells me how proud he is of me. And I'm very fortunate. He's 86 years old, and he looks me right in the eye and he says, "You